Hey. Thank you, Bruce Springsteen. C'est la Springsteen.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
C'est la Springsteen.
C'est tout. C'est fini.
Bonjour, everybody.
Bonjour, mes amis. Ça va bien?
Oui. Me,
Moi?
Paul K. Lemire. HABSOlutely.
Perfect.
And I got it right this time. Thank you very much.
You're listening to 4680Q, home of HABSOlutely.
And Bruce Springsteen has left the building. Thank you very much. Tune in weekly, for HABSOlutely. And after the video goes up, you have to like it. You have to subscribe to the channel so you know what's going on.
And make comments to let us know how well we are doing.
Or how well we aren't doing. We'll take all kinds of comments. We don't care. We discuss them all, right? Some people like us. Some people hate us. Hey, we don't care. Doesn't matter.
Communication is the key.
So that's why we're here. Communicating with everybody. Now, oh boy, what a show. What a week this has been. We had a long weekend here, Labor Day weekend and everything else. And we had a lot of stuff going on.
Did we get an extra day in?
Yeah, we got to get an extra day. We got an extra day. But, sad news in the hockey world, actually, this weekend. And everybody's still reeling from it. And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the terrible tragedy that took the life of one of my favorite guys to watch playing, Johnny Hockey, and his brother Matthew, of course, Johnny Gaudreau. And what a shocker. What a shocker. John, I don't even know what to say. I mean, this is terrible.
I mean, it's extremely sad when anybody loses their life. And especially in this case, I mean, these gentlemen were getting ready to celebrate the beginning of their sister's life as she was going to get married.
Yeah, they're in the wedding. Yeah,
and they're out bicycling on a highway, and sadly they were, I guess, hit from behind.
Yeah, by a drunk driver, no less. And they're on the back. I think they're bicycling on back roads, and this guy passed another truck, and then he was gassed up. But you talk about senseless killings or whatever you want to call it. This is just like, it didn't have to happen. It's just ridiculous that people these days still drink and drive and get on roads and drive like morons. I just don't get it. And I mean, Johnny Hockey, this kid, he's like 31 years old. And if you wanted a tearjerker, when there was a picture there of him and his wife and the two kids. And, they look so happy. He's just a beautiful wife and kids. I mean, I just, I hope they hang this guy, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I mean, anything can happen any day. And so that's, for me, it's most important for everyone to lead a full life and lead it like, it's the last minute of every day. And do things like that. On the other hand, yeah, you're right. It's a senseless killing. I mean, alcohol is involved. Speed, of course, is involved. This guy wanted to, somebody had, I believe, pulled out to pass the bicyclist, and the guy behind him wasn't too happy with the way that car was driving in front of him as he came up on the car. So he tried to pass on the inside, and lo and behold, there were two bicycles there.
Yeah, and and this isn't just about Johnny Hockey, although this is the one that gets the news, but there's thousands of people who are killed by drunk drivers every year. And, I lament all of them. They're senseless. I mean, people who get behind the wheel drunk in this day and age, I just don't get it. I mean,
well, I remember an adage that you used to have back in the day, as we were growing older and drugs were becoming more
prevalent.
And you would say speed kills. And it's very true. Not only, as a drug, speed kills or drugs, but speed itself. I mean, the way people are driving right now, it's careless and reckless.
Yeah, slow down. And even drunk driving is bad. And we see the results of it on, one of the greatest, great hockey players in the NHL. Terrible loss, but also distracted driving. Don't let that get the better of you either, because there's a lot of people playing on their phones, dicking around on their phones, and
Absolutely.
and I don't want to turn this into a public service announcement, but it just really touched me when I saw that picture of him and of the kids and his brother's wife. Now they find out she was pregnant, and so much to live for.
Well, I mean, people are so insular in their own life, and I need to be here, I need to be there. I mean, if a car is slowing down in front of you, there's a reason that they're slowing down, most likely. So, you don't have 5 seconds to hold off and let them get back to the speed limit or whatever. There's a reason. So think about what you do always, and on behalf of Absolutely, our thoughts and our prayers go out to the Johnny's family, his friends, to the all the Goudreaus, his brother's family as well, and we wish them the best, and there's really not much more to say.
No, I don't think there is. And R.I.P. Johnny Hockey. I mean, you're going to be missed. I mean, you're loved by the players. You were loved by the fans. He was just one of those guys. He reminded me, in a little bit of a way, Cole Caulfield.
And
Happy to be on the ice, happy to play, good at what he does. Just a real likable kind of guy, Johnny Hockey, since he came in the league.
and I'm sure Cole would definitely say exactly what you said.
Yeah, and then we're going to talk about him later.
Absolutely.
Now, while we're at this unfortunate accident, we've had a couple in our lives with hockey players of Johnny Hockey's caliber. One of them being Tim Horton, who in our era was an all-star defenseman for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he went over to Buffalo Sabres. A guy that you really, really saw, a tough guy and the ultimate type of hockey player. If you could take his profile and put it on a hockey player or a hockey game, the ones that we used to play, that would be it. That would be a hockey profile right there.
I gotta think that if you were coming down the ice, and Horton and Stanley were the defense pairing that you were facing, you probably wanted to go more to Stanley's side than Horton's.
Yeah, Alan Stanley, definitely.
Horton was a tough cookie, and he knew how to throw a hip check with the best of them. Bobby Bond, no disrespect, but Tim Horton sure could handle his weight on that blue line.
He could, and he was killed, of course, in intoxicated driving his Pantera right on the QEW, just down from our house here, probably 2 or 3 miles down
Garden
the QEW.
City Skyway.
Yeah, like he just hit that lump going over Geneva Street or something and went out of control. And late in the morning, he had been drinking in Toronto, going back to Buffalo. So I think he played for the Sabres then.
I think he played a game in Toronto that night.
Yeah, and then he was going back to Buffalo.
And he went to the Hot Stove Lounge after the game, and I think he spent some time with some old friends, old players,
old chums
from the Maple Leafs. And he left, I think, probably late, early morning, and
the rest is history. And the other guy that we really lost, kind of in a sad accident, was a guy named Pelle Lindbergh. And if you remember him,
I mean, Pelle Lindbergh was just was set to be probably one of the best goaltenders ever in the NHL.
Yeah, the year he died, he took the Philly Flyers, Philadelphia he played for, to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they didn't win, but he took them there, and they were set up to win a Stanley Cup with him. And he
was the spitting image of Bernie Parent.
Yeah, he was. He played like him.
He looked like Bernie Parent. He wore that full-on mask that it was a jock plant mask that Bernie wore. I mean, they looked identical.
Yeah, and he was driving, and he was out with his buddies, and
driving a fast car.
Yeah, driving a Porsche 930 Turbo.
Probably going a little fast.
Just a little bit, and he crashed into a wall. And that was the end of his life at 26 years old, and that was in 1985. And, Philadelphia, since that death, has not found a goaltender of any kind of quality since that happened, since 1985. They've always been looking for that Pelle Lindbergh goaltender. Brian Hextall Kelly Lindbergh guy, to take over the nets, and they go through goalies like
Lindbergh was a stylistic.
Again.
He was a stylistic goalie, so he was much like Carey Price. He played a lot of form. He played textbook hockey. I mean, again, sadly too, I think he had a few drinks, too many, and he also took the life, I believe, of his girlfriend and one of his best friends in that accident.
Yeah, there's 3 of them in the car when they crashed. That's another one that we lost, and that was a big shock to the NHL and to Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, they're still looking for a great goaltender. The other one I remember, and this was maybe just a touch before our time.
Yeah, I don't think we were born yet.
Yeah, but it was so much of a tragedy.
We're not that old.
That we heard. You're an octogenarian. You were there. It was so much of a tragedy that we still talked about it towards the end of the 50s, when we really started watching hockey and were cognizant of the players and who they were in that.
Well, not only that, but it's a story of hockey folklore.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah. So, by the way, just so you know, and this should be a trivia question, really, but I'm just going to give it to you here because we still have our trivia. Do you know what Kelly Lindbergh's nickname was?
I do know now. I didn't know 10 minutes ago.
Well, his nickname was Gump.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it shows, and what that speaks to is like the respect that players have for the players that have came before them.
Yeah, exactly.
And we talk a lot on this show about the past. Especially with the amazing history of the Keep the Canadian. There's so much of it, and we try to always pay back that respect to it, and we believe also that history feeds into what is happening presently with the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, really? And yours the torch to pass, like that type of thing. And,
absolutely.
And Montreal Canadiens are not just a hockey team. This is a religion. I mean, people wear that sweater and they go like this because they're proud of it.
It's a very special place to be.
It really is. And for him to be nicknamed Gump, I mean, wow. I mean, Gump Worsley was one of our guys we watched and we loved him.
So surprised by that. But that's cool.
Yeah, another guy that I was just talking about, though, that was a loss in the 50s, early 50s, 1951, actually, was Bill Barilko of the Leafs, killed in a small plane crash during a fishing trip to Quebec in 1951. And it was before I was born, but that legendary player lived on.
You were already born, weren't you?
No.
I wasn't. Come on, man.
I was probably in the oven. I could have been in the oven, but I wasn't born yet. And it's unbelievable that he would die in this kind of a accident. He was a big player for the Leafs. Everybody loved him. They called him Bashin' Bill Barilko.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, Bashin' Bill, they called him.
Never heard Bashin' Bill before.
And how's he connected to the Montreal Canadiens? Well, in a big way. I heard the story so many times when I was a kid. They died in the plane crash and that, but I didn't know this stuff when I was just kind of snooping around about Bill Barilko.
You didn't know. This will be interesting.
Yeah, his last goal was actually against
Montreal Canadiens.
The Montreal Canadiens on Habs goalie.
Goldsworthy?
Jerry McNeil. In overtime.
Did Jerry McNeil play both hands? Maybe not.
He played for the Habs.
Yeah, but there was one goalie that played. Wasn't Bill Durham, eh? It was Jerry McNeil.
Jerry McNeil, it said.
Bill Durham, I think, was ambidextrous, and he had goalie gloves that had blockers on both gloves, and he would catch, and he'd go back and forth with his stick. He was an ambidextrous goalie.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, but Jerry McNeil, I think, played maybe just after Bill. And that was an overtime goal.
Overtime goal.
In the playoffs.
And many call it the most famous Leaf goal of all time.
It's one of the very famous ones, without a doubt. I mean,
won the Stanley Cup for him.
I can see the picture vividly in my head right now, from both angles, because there are pictures from one angle, and there's a picture from the opposite angle of that goal too.
Yeah, and it won the Stanley Cup for the Leafs against the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, the most famous picture, I think, is Barilko, and you see the number 5, and he's kind of taken the shot already, and he's falling, and Jerry McNeil is falling down in his net, and the puck's going in.
And not only that, he wasn't. He was a great player. He scored the winning goal in overtime, and he was flying through the air. He went right into the Jerry McNeil with the puck and got it in. That was why it was so famous, right? Fashion Bill.
That I didn't know.
Yep. And
not sure that one.
There was a song called 50 Mission Cap.
There is a song called 50 Mission Cap done by the Tragically Hip
about
Bill Barilko.
That's right.
Because Gord Downey one day, and the Hip guys are all hockey fans. The guitarist Langlois is a Habs fan. Everybody else, from my understanding, is a Bruins fan. Gordy actually played goal. He used to be a goalie.
Oh, no way. I never knew that.
Yes, he did. And if you like the Tragically Hip, you'll want to listen to a song called, I think it's called The Loneliest End of the Rink or something like that. We'll look it up before we're off the air. And it's a song about playing goal in a hockey game. And Gordy went into a store one day and he bought some hockey cards. And he opened them up, and inside was a hockey card. So, you had your regular players, but there was one of these memorabilia hockey cards of like great moments in the history of the NHL.
Oh, right.
And it was the picture of the Bill Barilko goal being scored up on McNeil and the story about Billy Barilko, about him, getting, like winning the game for the Leafs, winning the Stanley Cup for Toronto, going away on holiday on a fishing trip. His plane crashed. It couldn't be found. It wasn't found until 1962 when the Leafs finally won the Stanley Cup again.
Yeah, that's right.
And so Gord loved this story, and he wrote a song about it. And that's how we have 50 Mission Cap.
Yeah, wow. Amazing. Huh?
Yeah. And what's really interesting is I can remember when I was probably 8, 9, 10-ish, and we'd get up on a Saturday morning and we were getting ready to go out for a day's journey of hockey, road hockey. I would grab that Cheerios box and I would put the Cheerios in my bowl and the milk. But on the back of the box, they had some hockey trivia or hockey memories. And they had this Billy Barilko story. Amazing. And I would read it over and over as my feet were going up and down like a drummer. And I couldn't wait to get out that door and go play road hockey as I was eating my Cheerios. I actually, when Gordy did that song, I actually contacted General Mills and I tried to find a product manager who could find that artwork for that box in the 60s. And I never got anywhere with it. So if anybody has that box out there who's watching or listening, I'd really appreciate some feedback on that. Please leave a comment if you know anything about that Cheerios box from, I'd say, 61-ish.
Yeah, they probably go on eBay. It's probably somebody's got it for sale.
I don't know. That's a long time ago, and that's very Canadiana.
Yeah, imagine if you had it now.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and that goal as well, probably the most famous Montreal Canadian was on the ice.
The Rocket.
And I couldn't tell until I saw the reverse angle picture. So, a photographer took that Barilko goal, and it's a famous picture. And then if somebody else was on the other side of the ice and also took that picture or took a picture of that moment, and that's when you see the number 9.
The Rocket.
So, the Rocket was on the ice for that goal.
Yeah,
I'm sure he wasn't too pleased after that.
No, he was probably smashing up the locker room after. Montreal did not like losing in overtime and losing the Stanley Cup in those days,
especially to the Loaves.
Okay, so
yeah, Billy Barilko, probably maybe the most famous goal in NHL history, or one of them, that's for sure. Definitely top 10.
Yeah, definitely top 10.
Definitely top 10.
With the Bobby Orr flying through the air.
And the picture as well is definitely a top 10 NHL picture.
Yeah, there you go. So There was others, I'm sure, that were killed in tragic accidents, but these were the biggest ones that I remember anyway. When I was a kid, and R.I.P. to hockey, Johnny Hockey. You're going to be missed in the NHL, and it's a sad story. And
Well, he
condolences
is
to the
gone,
family.
but he won't be forgotten.
No, he won't be forgotten, and won't be forgotten in Montreal. That's for sure. Now let's go over to a trivia question, because I know what you're going to say.
We'll go back to that later.
Yeah, we're going to go back to that.
We'll go
Don't
back to
worry.
that
We're
later.
not going to miss that because this is a class move, but we don't want to talk about that yet. We got to get to the trivia.
Absolutely.
Now, listen, you guys have been treated to a lot of history and trivia in the first 20 minutes of the show, but I still have to do the trivia.
That's fabulous.
Okay, so one Montreal player holds the record for the most shots on goal by a Canadian in a single season.
Wow. Now is that how are we going? How far back?
All the way as well. I mean,
Did they track? Like, when did they start tracking shots on goal by a player?
Well, if you put 2 and 2 together, you're going to find out that in 82 games or 76 games or whatever, you're probably going to get more shots than in 40 or 50 games.
Absolutely.
So that kind of narrows it down to modern times. And that number of shots was 342 in a single season. Tell me who that player was, and I'm going to give you 4 choices.
Great.
Steve Shutt, Mario Tremblay, Guy Lafleur, Mats Naslund.
Well, we know Guy Lafleur got a lot of shots because he scored a lot of goals.
Right. Steve Shutt had a lot of goals too.
Yeah, but I think Lafleur had more goals than Shutt.
Probably.
Mario Tremblay, I don't think he's even close. I really don't.
Okay, we got rid of him. Mario Tremblay's out.
But I'm going to go with a wild guess that it's Mats Naslund.
Okay, and you would be wrong. It is Guy Lafleur.
Yeah, I mean,
that makes sense, right?
That makes sense, yes.
So Steve Shutt was up there as well. Mario Tremblay, believe it or not, didn't have the most, but he was in the top list of the top ones. Yeah, he had a lot of shots. That guy.
Who was the captain in the the double O's there? Who had cancer and came back?
That was Saku Koivu.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it might be like a Koivu or who was the other French Canadian that played for the Habs and got a lot of goals just around that time?
Well,
Lambert? No, not Lambert.
Stéphane Richer.
No,
he was
a little
high
later.
Scorer.
But I would have thought it could have been some other player.
Yeah, well, it was Guy Lafleur. I mean, and you know, when you hear the name, you think, well, yeah, that's it. How would I guess anything else? But it's interesting that these other players were good. Now, the other guys were prolific scoring machines. They did score goals, but only one had the record for the most shots in an NHL season for the Habs. And in the 1978-79 season, he did it, which was, I mean, that was part of the 4 years that Montreal won the Stanley Cup. And he had 52 goals, a shooting percentage of 15%, 5% lower than the year before, believe it or not. When his shooting percentage was 20% with 60 goals on just 305 shots. And just 305 shots is still a hell of a lot of shots on net.
Absolutely.
You know, so, yeah, amazing. And that was during our 4-year Stanley Cup run in the late 70s where we had the most dominant team. Some call it the greatest team ever in NHL history. I mean, you know, you remember Lafleur for a lot of stuff, and he got a lot of goals because he took a lot of shots. But, of course, we all remember the goal with Don Cherry. Too many men on the ice. Lafleur came skating down, tied the game. We won in overtime. Stanley Cup bound, right?
Absolutely. And Lafleur, I mean, you know, he positioned himself to make those plays. He was such a smooth guy, and he just knew how to basically be there when the puck came, and also make himself available for those passes.
You know, and when I watched Guy Lafleur play, I always looked and he looked like he was so slow. Just because his strides were so big and he was graceful when he skated. And it always looked like he was slow, but yet he was going around everybody. And the guy was just, what a talent. We're so lucky to have Guy Lafleur on Montreal.
I mean, just think about, you know, young 8, 9-year-old kid getting up again on Saturday morning, grabbing his skates, sneaking out and getting out in that field and skating. And that's, skating on a large ice surface, playing shinny. Amazing.
Yeah, and just effortless. That's what I remember. Effortless. He didn't even look like he was trying. He was moving, but he didn't look like he was moving very fast yet. His hair was blowing in the breeze.
In the wind.
So he was moving, right? But anyway,
he was gliding.
I found that a little bit interesting there. Lafleur was the guy who set the record, and of course, the other record that still holds on the Montreal Canadiens is 544 goals by Rocket Richard. Nobody's got more than 544 in their career with Montreal.
So you have to wonder. I mean, obviously the Rocket played shorter seasons, but if you did, shots per game with the Rocket have outclassed Lafleur, I kind of think he might have.
Yeah, well, I mean, to score 544 goals in your career, playing 50 games a year, right? I mean, yeah, sure. There's players who have a lot more than that now. But still, for his time, you talk about, your shot percentage and a prolific scorer.
Exactly.
That's amazing that nobody has taken over that record, beat that record. I don't even know who's close to it, but maybe Beliveau or somebody, or Lafleur.
Maybe Demidov.
Well, he might be there.
Maybe Slavkovsky.
He sticks around, yeah. Yeah, we got guys who can do it.
Maybe Lane.
And they've got more games to do it in. I mean,
the opportunity is there.
Yeah, 10 years is back in the day was 500 games.
Make it happen.
Well, we want to see it. I want to see that record broken.
Absolutely.
Before I die, and so they better do it fast. Okay, so we've done the trivia. We've done everything we've got to do with that. Now we can move on to news and rumors. And there was a lot of talk. There wasn't a lot of action on the Habs front over the last week. But I did see the players finding their way to the Bell Center.
Yes, a few players were there, I think, on Sunday.
And that's funny because last week I asked that question, John, when do you think they're going to come to the Bell Center? And we were thinking 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before. Well, they're there now.
Well, yes. They're checking in.
They're checking in.
They're checking in. I think this again speaks to that culture of the team, that they want to be around each other. They want to have a friendly atmosphere. They're building a family. They're really building a family.
Yeah, there was a neat video. I don't know if you saw it. There's a neat video of Patrick Laine and Suzuki meeting.
I did see that, where Suzuki came over to shake his hand.
Yeah,
and Lanny, I mean, he needs to get acquainted with the city of Montreal. His wife, I think, on social has reached out to ask people for recommendations of places to go in Montreal, et cetera, et cetera. And Lonnie is ready to start his new career. And that's the great thing, is he's like, I'm coming early. Like, I'm not waiting around. I want to be here and be here now.
Yeah, it looks to me, even at this early date, that he's settling in. I saw him on the ice, and he looked fantastic, skating around and shooting.
He's in great shape, number one. He not only is settling in, he's setting a tone, he's setting a mark. When he came to the Bell Center on Sunday, he was dressed for success. He was like a fashion note.
Yeah.
He came in with this kind of Montreal red, pink outfit. It wasn't even a suit, but everybody knew it was like, this man is serious. And he's never been a fashion trendsetter, but he was setting the trend as number one right across the league this week with a fashion statement.
Now, I'd say Subban is a little jealous.
I think Subban's going to have to pick up his game.
I think he's going to have to.
To be honest with you, he's going to have to pick up his game. And so right away, Lanny is telling people, he's telling the team, I'm serious. I'm here to enjoy hockey. I'm here to make this the most incredible experience for all of us. And I'm so excited by it. I mean, I can't wait. I mean, I have these visions of this line of Slavkovsky, Demidov, and Lonnie now that's going to be the first line, I think, in like 2027. And I just can't wait.
Yeah, this is great. I love his attitude. I love to see him.
I think, we talked about it a lot last year, how Montreal was going to build their team, and that at one point, once they onboarded many of the prospects and got a core settled out, that probably in 2027, 28, when they started to really make a run, they would need maybe a goalkeeper and maybe an elite scorer. I think they got the elite scorer early.
It looks like it.
I really, really do, and I'm hoping I'm right.
Yeah, me too. And I'm just over the moon about Lonnie coming in, and I just can't wait to see him on the ice putting pucks in the net. I just think the talent's there. He's got a new attitude. He's kind of rejuvenated, it appears to me. Just like his whole attitude.
It's a rebirth.
It really, really is.
It's a rebirth. And, number 2 overall pick after some guy who just became a captain. Look out. Look out.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be the battle.
I'm really anticipating.
He's gunning.
I'm really anticipating something from Patrick. I wish him the best.
Yep, he's gunning. And as we start floating our players in and getting players in, it's fantastic to see these guys back and happy and skating around and just doing what they do on the best on the ice.
And they're hanging out in Brossard at the sports complex.
Are you going? You're going next week?
We're going at next weekend is when we start things off. So Wednesday, September the 11th, rookie camp starts. And that's when all the rookies will come in, and they'll all take physicals, and they'll do fitness tests, et cetera, et cetera. And they'll do their medical checkup so that everybody gets an A-OK to hit the ice.
Oh, good, good.
So then they'll have a few practices. You'll have like Thursday, Friday, but then on Saturday, Sunday will be the prospects game against the Leafs prospects, both at 1 o'clock on those 2 respective days.
Oh, beautiful.
And then on the 16th will be a golf tournament for all the players, rookies, prospects, I guess, included, as well as the roster from last year. They'll play golf at Laval-sur-le-Lac.
You guys playing?
I don't believe I'll be at that. I don't believe I'll be playing golf there.
Okay.
And then they have a day off. And then on the 18th, the actual Montreal Canadian professional hockey team gather and get their physicals and their medical checkup, their fitness tests, et cetera, et cetera. And then we start real preseason or real training camp.
Yep, 23rd. It's our first game against Philadelphia.
We have 6 preseason games.
Yep.
And you're right, that's the first one. I think the last one is on the 9th. And there's also a blood drive that is scheduled Wednesday, October 16th at the Bell Center in Montreal from 8 in the morning till 7 p.m.
Okay,
and I'm sure the Canadians will attend that.
Yeah, so there you go. Lots going on in the next few weeks in Montreal for these rookies.
It's starting to really come together.
Yep. And, I heard a rumor that the players who are on the team, basically, we know there are players that are on the team no matter what, regardless of training camp. They already got the roster set up, except for a couple of guys. And every one of them have a plaque over their dressing area, right? They all get like a dressing area.
Right, for sure.
With their name on it. So you've got, Patrick Laine and Nick Suzuki, their name there,
Cole
right?
Caulfield.
And there was one name, a plaque on there, that surprised a lot of people.
Really? I haven't heard this.
It was a plaque with Owen Beck on it.
Wow. Not a huge surprise, but
no, these plaques can be taken off too, right?
Exactly. And Owen Beck did play one game in the NHL for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, but it's interesting that his name was on it. Somebody saw his name on a plaque in there, and those plaques are for the players that are going to be on the team for sure. Then you got a couple positions that have to be, they're going to be juggled around and have to be made in training camp. But it's interesting that Owen Beck's name was on a plaque.
That plaque could have carried over from a year ago.
It's possible,
It's
but
say
but it's
proceed.
interesting that
Say
his name was up
proceed.
there, and I like Owen Beck. We love
Well,
Owen
we
Beck.
love
I
Owen
mean,
Beck,
the guy is
and
great two-way player, just a great player, responsible, smart.
we can't wait for him to play
Yeah,
the
yeah,
entire season in the NHL.
yeah. To jump on him and give us his best. He's a center. He's responsible on both ends of the ice. He can score goals. Like I keep saying, he reminds me of like a Plekanec type of character, right?
He's a very talented hockey
He
player.
very is. He very is. He is.
He is.
He is very
He
talented.
is a talented hockey player.
Très talented.
C'est très bien.
Yeah. So now let's get over to Hughes, and I think he's done. There's a lot of crazy rumors going around.
No, he's still with the Habs.
Yeah, but he's done trading.
Oh, he's done trading.
I don't, unless he can make a move that is just a blockbuster move for somebody makes him an offer he can't refuse. I think he's done now. I mean, we're only 2 or 3 weeks out, right? I think he's done for right now.
We are.
Do you
like
think so or what?
Next midweek we're like doing physicals, and we're definitely like.
I don't think I get past the physical. I hope they don't give one to me.
You know what? I think Ken Hughes, he's the GM. I don't think he's looking for something right now. I don't think he's actively making a trade. But if someone was to approach him, he, of course, is listening.
Yeah, well, somebody said Crosby to the Habs.
No.
And I'm going...
Why? There's no reason.
There's so many crazy... Like, this is what I mean. There's so many rumors out there about this guy, that guy. But I really, really don't think Hughes is looking for a Crosby type of player right now. I think he got Laine. That's what he wanted. His scorer, 26 years old. He fits perfect. I don't think he's going to be hiring some geezer to get in there and play. And we got some text coming in. Is Drew Deeks listening or what?
Drew Deeks is definitely listening. And we just want to remind everybody we'll be at both prospect games.
That's right. So they can report live. I'm staying home. But is Drew Deeks sending messages, or is he?
He texts all the time.
Okay, did he say anything?
Yeah, he said, remember, we're going to both games.
Oh, okay, he's going. Okay, they're going to both games. That's the news, and we're going to get live reports from these guys.
Then he said, listen to John, don't listen to Paul.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice. That's good advice, because
that's not true. That's not true. I'm making that up.
Well, it doesn't matter. We love.
We're
Drew.
just having.
We love
fun.
Drew.
We're
Deeks.
just having some fun.
Yeah, we're just having some fun here. But that's probably good advice, though. If he said that, he's not far off. So I think personally, Hughes is done, and he's not going to be trading anymore. Now we're getting serious about the season coming up.
The only teams that are going to make trades are teams that have holes. So I think like Vancouver is struggling for a goaltender right now. I could be wrong, but that's the scenario. And I think the Habs roster is set. It's not like we need more players. We have enough players. We just have to decide which players are going to, like, together will form the best team to perform. And then we have to decide who exactly should be onboarded and into the NHL, and who's ready for that experience and who's not, who needs to spend more time in another league. And that's really where we're at.
And speaking of that, I've been reading a lot touting Sammy as our starting goaltender for the year. He's going to be the guy.
Montembeault was on the ice with Lane on Monday at that complex.
Yeah, so they're
shooting on him.
It looks like they're going to call him number one right now anyway, unless training camp goes the other way like it did last year for him. But if anything happens in the preseason and that outside of him playing decently, he looks like he's going to be the starter, and Primo will be the backup. But
it will be interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
I mean, I think that's probably the way it's going to start and roll. But hey, I mean, I would love to see a guy named Caden Primo play his first 8 games and win them all.
Oh, me too. And
then let's see what happens.
Like, I've always loved the guy, so I hope he can get in there and do his stuff, because I think he's got I think he's got a lot to offer in goal.
You know, it's like something I've been thinking about over the last week to 2 weeks is Bunny Larocque.
Bunny Larocque.
And, you know, and you made me aware really how valuable Bunny Larocque was to the Montreal Canadiens, because you kind of forget. You think that's a Dryden error, and then you don't even bother thinking about how Dryden took about a year and a half off to go back and article in law in Toronto, and it was Larocque that carried the team and carried the team extremely well, and that Bunny Larocque was like such an important player to that team. So if we have a guy named Samuel Montembeault standing up and being the premier goalie, if Caden Primo comes up and backs him up and is winning like 80% of the games that he plays, then we are playoff bound.
Yeah, well, that's the three things. I mean, they were asking on Facebook, what are the three things Montreal has to do to make the playoffs? And number one, we need solid goaltending. Number two, we have to have our players perform, and Lane step up, and Slavkovsky step up to what we're expecting from them this year, because we know Suzuki and Caulfield will be okay. And the third thing is these other guys that are going to be filling in the roster to deliver secondary scoring for us.
And we need to beat injuries this year.
Yeah, and health is another one. Yeah, health would be the fourth horseman.
We need to beat injuries this year.
Yeah, health would be the fourth horseman. We need health too. We have to have good health. Guys can't be getting injured the first or second game, and we don't see them for the rest of the year, like Doc last year. So we got to get Doc and New Hook. Yeah, we got to get them. But if we can get the secondary scoring going, our D gives us a little bit more on the power play. Marty St. Louis is running the power play now.
I hope so.
I'm predicting. I've been predicting since the season ended. Playoffs this year. We're going to be battling for a wild card spot, and I think we may be able to tip over and actually grab a wild card spot. I don't think we're going to go real far, but I think we have that opportunity this year, especially since we got Lane.
I just want to go out there and win some games.
Oh yeah, me too. That's always good. Now, all the other news and rumors, that's about it for that we've read this week. But there is one thing we have to still talk about.
What would that be?
This is something the Montreal Canadiens are known for, whether it's the team or individual players. The team celebrating players that have
poutine
before.
They all eat poutine.
They do eat poutine and pea soup.
The best.
Two of my favorites. They're my favorites, but we've seen it all over and over again from Montreal. And that's something called class. And what could be more classy than
high class and borrowed shoes? What could be more classy than
Cole Caulfield stepping up and taking number 13 in honor of Johnny Gaudreau? He's given up his 22 and taking 13.
Well, I mean, first of all, Cole Caulfield is telling people how important Johnny Gaudreau was in his development. That, much as, I'll sit here and say that when I was like 8 or 9 or 10, that I looked up to Boom Boom Geoffrion. He was my favorite hockey player. He was my inspiration for playing hockey at that time. That Cole Caulfield was watching Johnny Hockey. And Johnny Hockey he basically said, this guy's kind of like my size. If he's playing hockey, I can play hockey. And I'm going to, he inspires me to go out there and play hockey that well. So kudos to Cole for speaking out about this. And kudos for him to adapt and make this change with his sweater number.
Yeah, I think it's just a fantastic tribute. And, players are funny about their sweater numbers. They want a certain number, and once they get it, they hate to give it up. I mean, they don't give it up. Most people have the number from team to team or whatever, and other players maybe give it up for them. Right?
And yeah, I mean, nobody was not going to give up 99 to a guy named Gretzky if he shifted teams. But at the same point, we just saw a guy named, Lane, switch his number from 29 to 92, which I think is fabulous. So, again, kudos for Cole for stepping out and saluting his hockey hero, Johnny Hockey.
Yeah, and remember who had 22 on the Habs before?
Steve Shutt.
How
could you forget?
How could you give up that sweater?
How could you forget?
I love what he did, but I'm really not crazy about him taking number 13. Name a number 13 on the Habs that has ever been done any good. I mean, to me, I'm a triskaidekaphobiac. This is like bad Kavorka
Well,
taking number 13. I don't like
you know
it.
what?
I like what he did.
A lot of players never wanted number 13 in hockey.
Well,
that's for sure. I think in basketball you had to use 13 a little more because you had to call players' numbers on your hands. So like 29 didn't exist in basketball. It wasn't like because it'd be like 3-1. That's 31, or 1-3, and that's how you were calling penalties back in the day with basketball. So 13 was used, but it wasn't used much in hockey. That's for sure. But I think all that kind of stuff you got to throw out the window and move forward.
Didn't Max Domi have that number when he was playing for the Habs?
And Max, you know what? I loved Max when he was on the Habs.
Yeah, he was all right. I didn't mind him. I like Max's attitude.
I thought he was great. And I mean he definitely contributed last year, and I think it stems back to that whole experience of him playing with the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, so Cole Caulfield's got 13. Like I say, I don't know. I'm kind of like, you go to a hotel room at the hotel and there's no floor 13. I mean, it's just one of those numbers that people just stay away from. So I got to give Cole for credit for changing from 22 to 13. Johnny's number, and let me put it this way: 13 didn't affect Johnny's play at all.
And Drew actually texted in early this morning saying what an amazing gesture it was, and he's absolutely right.
Yeah, he sent me something, but it was a blank. So I says, "What is it?" He goes, "You're not going to forget to talk about this, are you?" And I'm going, "I don't even know what it is. Never opened for me." So, but we're talking about Cole Caulfield.
High class in borrowed shoes. In a lot of NHL rinks, there's been a lot of tributes to Johnny Hockey. People have been going not only in Columbus and in he played Calgary. They've been setting up memorials at the actual arenas, but they've been doing it at many NHL rinks, including the Bell Center in Montreal. But unfortunately, the monument tribute that was set up for Johnny Hockey in Montreal was taken down this morning.
Yeah, I saw that, and I don't understand it.
And nobody seems to understand it. And there seems to be a lack of communication about it with the Montreal team. So it's great that Cole stepped out and did this, but the team needs to figure this out and take care of it sooner than later and rectify what's been done.
Yeah, it's not very good looking.
It's not sounding the way I think the Montreal Canadiens should handle this type of a situation.
Yeah, get out there and put it back.
Absolutely.
Right away.
Yeah.
And whoever did this, I don't think...
I mean, I understand people make mistakes.
Is it the city?
But mistakes can be corrected.
Is it the city who did this? I can't imagine somebody on the Montreal.
I don't know who did it, but I know it's been done, and I know it needs to be rectified.
Yeah, especially when you have one of your best players doing a tribute like Cole Caulfield did. And then they're going to take down a little expression of sympathy and love for Johnny Gaudreau from outside the Bell Center.
An expression of empathy of hockey fans, the best hockey fans in the NHL in Montreal, exhibiting an empathy for a tragic situation.
Yeah.
So let's fix this one up.
Yeah, that's got to be done right away. No fooling around with that one.
As well, our buddy Drew has told me that this is breaking news.
Oh, here we go. Breaking news.
Demidov has made the KHL.
Yes,
which is big news.
Yeah.
And he is playing, of course, with men.
Yes.
So that helps with his development.
Yes.
Because he's playing with larger bodies than smaller bodies, as we've always discussed, playing against better opponents, better, playing along with better people make you better. And so that's good for his development.
Yeah, that's a step because, this league he was playing in wasn't quite up to that. And he would be better off in Laval than there. But since this step is happened, this is great news. Breaking news from Drew Deeks, out on the road, wandering around.
I think he's going door to door asking people
What
if
they
they
think.
know what's going on with the Montreal Canadiens.
I think he is. He's going to door. I know that. He's selling vacuum cleaners,
No, I don't believe he's
Tupperware.
insurance. I think he's selling life insurance, and he's going door to door.
Maybe he's doing the conversion. He's converting Boston Bruins fans to Montreal Canadian fans.
That's a difficult job.
If anybody can do it,
because Bruins fans really, they don't really know much about hockey.
No, but if anybody can do it, Drew Deeks can.
So that's commendable. But c'est difficile.
Now we are getting down to le troisième étoile de semaine dernière.
Well,
unless you have other news, rumors,
no. I think we've covered everything today, which is great.
Yeah, we'll have more to report in the next couple of weeks about that. We're concentrating. I think
next Wednesday we're going to bring in the scale. We're going to weigh up. We're going to take our height. We're going to do our weight.
Oh, we can do that.
We're going to press some bars.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do some planks, sit-ups.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that. Push-ups, I can't do that.
Oh, I'm sure you try to do push-ups.
No, I don't do any
Come
push-ups.
on.
I don't do anything ups. I
up
do
and down, up and down, up and down.
How about Molson Canadian ups? How about a couple of those?
We can play beer pong.
Yeah, beer pong. And we can we can do the height and we can do the weight. I'll do that. I mean, that's no problem. If my doctor sees
blood test.
Oh, you can do a blood test.
Can I tap your knee with one of those hammers and you kick it out? We'll do like the Marx Brothers calling Dr.
Mo, Dr. Larry, Dr. Curly.
Exactly.
I was thinking of a joke by Rodney Dangerfield I just watched yesterday about the doctor hitting his he didn't hit his knees, but
his muscle.
Yeah, something. Anyway, so the troisième étoile, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious this week.
Absolutely. Number one?
I got Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. I mean, they're my guys. I'm just so sad about it, and I just think
Johnny Hockey.
Yep, they're
I mean, we'll miss you.
Demeanor and
you set a great example for all youth who aspired to play the sport of hockey.
They really do.
You really did it well. And kudos to you. I mean, Montreal would be proud to have you as a player.
Yeah, and just it's just a sad story.
And proud to even play against you as well.
He would be beautiful on the Montreal Canadiens.
Solid person.
Yep.
And the key thing about Johnny Hockey and why he would fit in with Montreal, because number one thing for Johnny Hockey was family. And that's what the Habs are all about right now. We're a family.
That's right. He would fit in perfect. Number two, I've got, of course, Cole Caulfield.
Absolutely. How could you not?
That was just a fantastic tribute to Johnny Hockey. And anybody could say, well, anybody could have done something like that. Well, no, they didn't.
Well, anybody could, but Cole did it.
That's right.
That's the difference. He stepped up and said, this is what I want to do.
And, of course, the Canadians weren't going to argue. They said, absolutely. And we said, absolutely.
Absolutely. And good for Cole. Again, I mean, let's rectify that mistake that was at the Bell Center. And again, mistakes happen. Let's just fix it.
Yep. And the third star, I'm going to give it to Demidov for making the KHL. I mean, it's going to be great for us and good for him. It's going to give him what he needs to develop. So when he comes over to the Habs, he's going to be just a little bit more ready than he was a week ago.
And my troisième étoile is Patrick Laine.
Yeah, I love him.
For stepping in, coming to Montreal early, fitting in with the team, and being the number one fashion plate in the NHL.
Yeah, I thought he was wearing camo when I first saw it.
Not necessarily what he's been known for. He's always kind of liked to wear, the fleece, the sweatpants and the Adidas, sweatsuit. But he's stepping into being a leader and setting a tone and being number one.
And it's really funny because Montreal is known for fashion in
It's
Canada.
the fashion capital of Canada.
So for him to step up like that, it just makes sense.
C'est magnifique.
It's fantastic. Anything else, John, before we leave our fans out there?
No,
waiting for next week?
No, I'm just looking forward to a puck being dropped.
Yeah, me too. And that's why I got to get my act together, get my center ice back on, and get everything ready for September 23rd for those exhibition games. I think we play the Flyers, Senators twice, Leafs twice, and the New Jersey Devils, if I'm not wrong.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah. So that's a good preseason for us. You guys are going to Broussard.
Oh, and by the way, too, Tragically Hip fans, I believe that there is a documentary airing for its first time ever tomorrow night at the Toronto International Film Festival.
About the
hip.
Oh, that'll be cool.
So Gordy's brother, Mike Downey, I believe is his name. He is the filmographer, and he's put this documentary together through his eyes of watching the hip through his brother Gordy. And he wants to make sure that it gets some world recognition and that people from around the world will learn about Canada through this documentary as well. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be on Prime Video in about 2 weeks as well.
Oh, okay.
So you'll be able to see it in the leisure and enjoy it at home. But it premieres tomorrow night at TIFF.
And maybe he'll mention Bill Barocco.
There might be a discussion. About 50 Mission Cap.
Yeah,
I kind of think there will be, and I gotta believe there'll be footage of hipsters playing hockey on some ice with some, like a road apple, because that's what a road apple is. Another title of one of their albums. That's a frozen piece of cow dung.
Yeah, and that's what they played on the ice.
And that's what they used to play out west. That was your hockey puck.
That was the hockey puck. So there you go. We'll see what happens. Let's see road apples, right? Who knows? Who knows what this documentary is going to be about? But
and
it wouldn't surprise me if they mentioned Barocco.
Oh, for sure. And Paul Langlois, kudos out to you, being a big Habs fan. Hanging in there, being in a band with four guys who like the Bruins, and you stuck up and stayed with the Habs. Good for you.
Is there another band that has a big Habs fan connection there? Another band we know from Canada?
Oh, there's a lot.
Was it Rush, though?
Well, Getty and Alex went to school with Steve Shutt.
Oh, there you go. I knew there was some connection you told me about before.
Yeah, in Willowdale, for sure.
So they went to school with Steve Shutt. Now,
and if you ever had a copy of The Spirit of Radio, or the I think that's record's called Permanent Waves, if you took out the liner notes, you'd see in it, thanks for the sticks to Larry Robinson and Steve Shutt. Because when Rush were recording in Morin Heights, Shutty and Robinson would come up to listen to them record and bring hockey sticks so they could play out on the pond.
Crazy, huh?
Fabulous. Hockey is everything to this country.
It really is.
It's really the fabric of this country. You think of Canada, you think of a moose, and you think of a hockey stick.
And a beaver.
And a road apple.
Yep, and a beaver.
And a road apple.
I always think of a beaver.
I always think of beavers.
Yeah, I know.
Ever since I met you and we started going to high school.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
Now we gotta do disclaimers on the show.
What are you talking about?
Leave it to Beaver. We're talking about the show. We're talking about the show that was on TV when we were kids. Anyway, my name is Paul K. Lemire.
Bonjour, mes amis.
Bonjour.
Yeah, good day. Bonjour, mes amis.
Bonjour.
Jean-Louis Filion.
And this is Absolutely coming to you live from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, in the downtown core, across from the meteor crater, and on the station we call 4680Q. It's live on 4680Q on Wednesdays at noon. And we also do a YouTube video that we are going to place on YouTube this afternoon. It'll be there by 3:30 or 4 o'clock. You'll be able to see the show. Just tune in and I'll post it all over the place. Give us a like. Subscribe to the channel so that get the notification going so you know when we post another one. It'll ding you no matter where you are. And leave a comment if you have something to say about the show, some information that we could use maybe some more about trivia and stuff or Habs history that we missed.
Please, and obviously all the fans who are looking at the show are reading those comments and enjoying them as well.
Yep, and we love you guys, and we love having you watch. We love your comments, and we love being here each week at noon. See you next Wednesday at noon with HABSOlutely. Take care, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Have a great day.
Be safe.